welcome to another edition of the Throwing Bagels Podcast. So happy to have you here. I'm Kevin Mooney alongside Jason Habo and Chris Douglas. Hey guys.
What's
Hello.
up?
Hello. We're like barreling through October already. I can't
I
believe
know.
how fast things are going. It's
Too fast.
insane. But a couple of weeks ago we had on the head coach of the women's hockey team at SUNY Oswego, Mark Digby, and it's this time around it's our pleasure to welcome in the head coach of the SUNY Oswego men's ice hockey team, defending SUNYAC champs, I may add. It's our pleasure to welcome in head coach Ed Gosek. Hey, coach.
Hi guys, thank you for having me.
Oh,
Appreciate the coverage and exciting time of year getting started here. Another new season upon us, and we appreciate the coverage and publicity and get people revved up for the season.
and speaking of this upcoming season, coach, let's talk a little bit about the prior year. So last season, team had 17 freshmen, won the SUNYAC title, made it into the NCAA tournament. With so many returning players to the roster this season, coach, do you have a sense that things can more or less pick up right where they left off last year?
Well, that would be the hope, but my experience would tell me that, there's many factors that'll come into play that, you know, complacency or, injuries or, not enough new guys to push the envelope. So, no, the guys are excited. They feel there's unfinished business. We feel there's unfinished business. Obviously, we were happy with the win over Plattsburgh in the SUNYAC championship, but we felt, no disrespect to trying, that we beat ourselves in that game. We did not play the way that we are capable of. Some of it was caused by them, and other things were self-inflicted. And would like another shot at the NCAA tournament. Um, so there's, you know, a lot of question marks this time of year. As my standard control at this time of year, the things that we can control, our conditioning, our discipline, and the understanding of our systems, the things as a staff that we pride ourselves on each and every night to have a consistent performance. We've been very blessed. Mark Powell has been with us now, from the Syracuse Crunch, Tampa Bay Lightning as our strength and conditioning coach. And it's been remarkable what he has been able to achieve with our guys. That clearly helps with the conditioning and the strength and the explosiveness part. Our systems, as you said, last year there was a long feeling out process for us as a staff, knowing what they could do and what they would be capable of, and putting guys in situations to succeed. So, this year, obviously, with just 5 new players, our database on our returners is a lot stronger, and we can make intelligent decisions much sooner. And then the discipline part, whether it's on the ice or in the classroom, those are important factors to us. You never see, very rarely is there a team that leads the country in penalty minutes or is near the top that makes it to the Final Four at Division I or Division III. So that the self-discipline and discipline within your team structure has to be there. So we're excited about it. Obviously, the addition of Hobart and Skidmore to our league strengthens our schedule and makes it very difficult, along with, you probably are going to talk about it, I don't know, but, Utica, our tournament with Williams and Elmira and Babson, having Jenny twice and Brockport, Naz, it makes for a very competitive schedule and difficult schedule to prepare us for the end of the year when it matters most.
Have you guys started practicing yet, or are you going to start practicing very soon?
Today is the first official day. With the new NCAA rules, we are allowed 8 times with the players in September. So we utilized our 8 practices twice a week for the 4 weeks. And now today we are on the ice at 7 a.m. Normally it's weight room at 7, but we have some guys that have class actually at 8, a little after 8, that have to leave early. So this morning we were on the ice at 7, approximately 8:15, 8:30. The players were responsible for getting their lift in, and then we are back on the ice again this afternoon. Tomorrow they'll lift first, go on the ice, and then back on the ice in the afternoon. So it's a busy couple of weeks with our 2 exhibition games to try to put pieces in place and change up some systems and do things differently. So we are officially started, and we're excited to be on the ice with them.
So among the players returning are SUNYAC Defenseman Player of the Year, Travis Baker, and then SUNYAC Rookie of the Year, Ryan Burke. How important, will their contributions be for this season off of last year's accomplishments?
Well, it's obviously going to be a big part of it, but at the same time, we don't, living up to past expectations, you understand it's difficult. And so we try to avoid like the individual accolades and anything that way, as do they. They're very team-oriented players. They're a big part of our success, and of course, would love them to have years like last year. Is that realistic? Is that asking too much? Time will tell. But if they just play their game with the humility that they possess, um, they earned the respect of their teammates for, every day in the weight room, with the practice, in the classroom, how they conduct themselves. So they're great role models for our new players to follow, along with our upperclassmen, our leadership core of Captain Matt McQuaid, Connor Gato, Cam Simons, and Johnny Bala. Uh, you know, they lead, in an unbelievable way and take care of things. They understand, how it works here. Um, Everybody is above the coaches, everybody is above the captains, servant leadership, putting everyone else's needs in front of our own.
Senior Brandon Milberg saw most of the action last season in net and had a really, really nice season. Does he figure to be in the net most of the season for you guys this year?
Great question. He did a very good job for us last year. Like every position, we brought in, one new goaltender, Michael Manzi, out of the North American League. Well traveled, very difficult to not only play in Alaska, but to live in Alaska. So he certainly looked right up to place, as is our returner, Gavin McCarthy, who's done a remarkable job in the off season. So we'll observe here in these weeks of practice and the exhibition games, but it really is wide open. And we're certainly pleased with what, Millsy did for us last year, but like all our players we need guys to come in that either going to push them out of their comfort zone and keep them working hard to earn their keep, or take some time away from them, whether it's goaltending, defense, or forwards. And the 5 new guys that have come in, they're in the mix of it. They're certainly, from the little bit that we've watched, they all fit in and they can all play, and it's only going to add to our depth. And that question that you have, Chris, is a difficult one to answer. Do we always make the right decision with who should be the starter? No. Do we base it on consistency and effort and attitude and work ethic and all of it? Save percentage, goal against average, saves and prime scoring areas. It's all enters into it.
Will those first two exhibition games, kind of play into your overall decision on who's going to be in net?
It does, but the past 3, 4 years, there's really not been a lot of separation based upon the game. So it's difficult to say, everybody can let in a soft goal, everybody can have a great period. Sometimes you're not facing the shots. Sometimes, you're on the penalty kill. So a goalie might face more difficult saves than the others. There's so many factors that go into it, but that's certainly one piece of the puzzle. The exhibition games and how comfortable, and our notes here every day on their compete level, you know, time in the nets, what kind of goals are going in on them, rebound control, angles, aggressiveness, conditioning. It all enters into trying to make an intelligent decision. It's our most important player, obviously. So you look at this past weekend at Division One, and teams were outshot considerably, underdogs, and pulled big upsets. Where goalies are making out shooting teams 50-17 or 12, and they're pulling out the upset win. So you understand, you guys know how important goaltending is, in the success of your team.
Coach, you mentioned a little bit about the 5 newcomers. The goaltender is one of them, Michael Manzi. What can fans expect to see from this incoming class this year?
Well, 2 very opposite defensemen. One small, skilled, fast, speedy guy, that Brendan Gilmore, that has an offensive flair and side to him. And then the direct opposite, in a positive way, of Ray Perreault. Very physical, stay at home, tough, in front of the net, in the corners. Tight gap, hard to play against D. I don't want to say they're 2 extremes. They're both very talented with the way in which they play, which is what we were trying to accomplish. And both of them are certainly in the mix for ice time, and we, return a great decor. So there'll be some tough decisions. It's, healthy competition, competitive within our structure. It's good for the program. And then the 2 forwards up front, Tommy Bannister, a transfer from Mercyhurst, from up the road here in Clayton, New York. He certainly fit right in with what we try to do here. And then true freshman, Sean Williams, big power forward, is getting up to speed and understanding mentally with what we do here. But both of them, we've been very pleased with their progress and what they bring us. And again, it just adds to our depth with our returners and the new players to keep that competitiveness going.
Coach, do you ever forget anyone's name? Because you've rattled off like the entire roster so far. Do you ever just say, "Hey, 17, what is his name? What is it?"
Well, at 64 years old, believe me, there's someone I can't remember my own name. But when you're around them every day. Now, last year, my assistants, they got a good chuckle because some days, and especially once they have the helmet and cage on, so many of them look alike. And I'll be looking over there. I'm like, okay, I think that's, Cooper or Semrad or Peone. They all look alike, and they're all about the same size, and they all play very similar styles. And I'm squinting, looking across the ice to make sure who I'm yelling at or encouraging or whatever. But no, I have my share of blunders. Don't worry with that. But all in good fun. They know I laugh at myself too with it. So it's honestly, it keeps me young. It makes it fun.
Mm-hmm.
And last year was quite the challenge, though. 17 new guys all on the ice at once, and you talk with them one-on-one. You know their names, you know who they are, where they play, what they did, and everything else. But when you're dealing with a large group, sometimes it's like, oh, yeah. Like, who's that again? So, but it's all good.
That's when you put numbers on
Great
on the
question.
practice jersey, though. That's when you put numbers on the practice jersey to make sure you know who's who
Yeah,
at that point.
we should actually, when you get
When you
old, the younger guys, they're sharp and they're on top of it. And very grateful, by the way, just to have the staff that we have. Danny Calabufo going from, one of our senior captains to the Fred Festa graduate assistant position, which you've heard me say before. We're very grateful to Fred and the endowment for that position. Allow Danny to get his master's and dabble in the coaching business. He's done a great job. He's certainly earned the respect of his teammates. So, sometimes a little worry there on how he can go from being with the guys 24/7 to now, the other side of the door, as we say. But the guys respect him for, who he is. I don't think they put him in any awkward situations. Um, and he's been a valuable asset. It's not just busy work, it's productive work that we've, given him the charge, on a lot of things, tomorrow morning, for example, with, you know, blocking shot video and, our statistics compared to other top teams and other areas that we need to improve on. So he's not only embraced it, but he's done an outstanding job, and we're excited to have him join, Whitey, John Whitelaw. And Whitey's out in Vancouver right now for the BCHL showcase. Bobby Chattel, very fortunate the amount of time that he donates to our program. He just had a beautiful baby daughter, married to Brett Howard, our wrestling coach's daughter, Monty. So we welcome Monty to our hockey family. And Mike Gray, who's been with the program for a lot of years, who does an outstanding job with video breakdown and analysis for us on top of Instat. So just a great group of guys. Kenny Neal coming out and helping out when he can, lives locally. So very blessed, very fortunate to have a group of guys that are all in it for the right reason for the success of the program.
Now that Coach Roll is retired, do you ever pick his brain now, and like he can give you the his point of view on some things now that he's not on the opposite side anymore?
Well, I try to pick his brain, and he doesn't want anything to do with it. He's the smart one. He's enjoying life and retirement. And speaking of him, last 2 weeks ago, we honored Coach Roll into the Blue Line Club Hall of Fame. We had our golf tournament at the Oswego Country Club. We had a great turnout, 150, 160 people, and then a nice dinner and ceremony to honor George that evening. Well deserved. 7 years here as coach. Certainly a role model to me in the way in which he handles life and the way in which he handles his teams, along with his hockey experience. Certainly has been a mentor to me. I'm very appreciative to call him a friend, and we certainly had our trials together with both of our wives passing and our children being good friends. But wish George nothing but the best in his retirement.
Coach, you start the season this Saturday with an exhibition game against St. John Fisher, in what might be their first game in program history. What is it like to participate in a game like that? That's their a program's first game ever, and their coach Rod Leswing, he was an assistant coach at Plattsburgh for a couple seasons. Like, how does that play into? Does it play into anything? You don't have much film on them, obviously.
No, I mean, the first part, just, you know, this weekend, Art can see what we have, control what, we're doing, and not focusing on our opponent as much as we would for a regular season game without any video or anything else. But honestly, I'm excited for them. Like, what a great opportunity. And I know you talk about Coach, we were just talking about Coach Roll, but George being able to coach here coach at Clarkson, and then start a program from ground up at Nazareth, and now he has the opportunity, at St. John Fisher. And, the school's all in, the help of, I believe it was Wegmans and the community to build a facility there. Um, he's done a great job with recruiting. They'll be a very good team in no time, if not right out of the gate. So there's no doubt in my mind, that there'll be a team here, despite their first year, as far as being competitive and doing things the right way. So no, I think back, if it was your first game, all those players and their parents and grandparents and brothers and sisters and the coaching staff and the school and the administration that's, obviously felt it was an intelligent investment to add ice hockey. What a great opportunity. We're excited to have them, and I'm sure it'll be a battle. They're going to bring their A+ game, and hopefully our guys will match that, and I'm sure they will. But just no, excited for them. Anytime that you can add more collegiate teams, it's a positive for our sport.
I mean, looking at their roster, they have more freshmen, I think, than you brought in last year on their roster. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, no, that's I'm sure they're going to be feeling things out just like we were last year, as far as what you have and who can do what and who can perform under pressure and who can play within a system and within your structure, and all the things we talked about, the discipline, the conditioning, that's the fun part from the coaching standpoint. You get to see what you have. You think you know what you have. You watch them in practice, you watch video. But till the scoreboard goes on and there's officials on the ice, and you're not telling them exactly what to do every situation, you don't know. And that's what, they're going to find out. We're going to find out with our new guys and our returners, and that's the nice part of being able to play 2 exhibition games.
Uh, Coach, you talk about programs adding new teams. St. John Fisher also adding a women's hockey team to the mix as well. When you look at collegiate hockey as a whole, is it as popular now or more popular now than it's ever been?
Well, the sport is growing, and
Mhm.
obviously so much has changed here in the last few years with NIL money and the ability of major junior players to play at the NCAA level. The amount of junior teams, the amount of good players that are out there, the quality of Division III hockey has clearly gotten better. Division I hockey, it continues to grow with the addition of major junior players, with I don't know if it's the Wild West or what the term would be, with, the teams that have financial packages and better facilities and are the heavy hitters, being able to recruit the best players off of some of the smaller programs. Even though, they're the ones that recruited them, they're the ones that developed the players. It's tough, it's hard. And the reality of the sport, I don't want to say the rich will get richer with this, but I really got to believe it's going to follow the path of basketball and football, that if you're not one of the major players and you have good players, you're going to lose them to the bigger programs for NIL money or, other packages that they have available. So it's all changing, but I do think, our sport is growing. You see more teams adding men's and women's ice hockey than you do schools dropping. If they're dropping, it's more because of the whole picture of just not enough students to go around,
Mm.
and enrollment being down, and you have to find places to save money. And that's the hard reality of today's college climate. And every school has to sharpen their pencil and try to offer a package that works for them. So, but the sport in general, my opinion is that it's in a good place. and it's growing. Um, you've got great coaches, and you've got a higher talent pool than we've ever had to be selective from.
Have you mentioned NIL? Do you see that happening within a lot of Division three schools? The NIL money being doled
It's
out.
only a matter of time. I mean, it's happening now. How prevalent will it be, at the hockey level and here in upstate New York, remains to be seen. But there's a lot of wealthy alumni at a lot of schools that have businesses and other ventures that, the NIL money could certainly come into play.
Coach, you had mentioned Hobart and Skidmore officially joining the SUNYACs this upcoming season. How important is that? And also, how much better does SUNYAC become as a conference with especially Hobart being invited in?
Well, Skidmore is no slouch. I know it's not as user-friendly name as Hobart because of their national success, but Kutch has done a great job there down in Saratoga Springs. It's a very good academic school. They take their, academics, athletics serious, and they've got a very good team. They're well coached. He does a great job recruiting. So, hey, did we want to lose, Geneseo and Brockport being long-standing members of the SUNYAC? No, they had to do what they felt was in the best interest of their schools. And so you have to move on. And for at least in our sport of ice hockey, it's the first time that we've had private schools in our league. And no, it's exciting. You talk about your team, but you talk about adding those two programs. We played Hobart before, and we would occasionally play Skidmore in some tournaments or crossovers, but they both make our league better than last year. And so, they're a welcome addition. Every coach has had to, sharpen their pencil, raise our games up, and be prepared for what it is that they bring to the table. And from the league in general, the positive is we're finally, our administrators have agreed along with the league to raise our playoff game, raise the amount of teams making the playoffs to 8 teams, which is awesome, along with new travel partners. And we'll be, with Hobart as our travel partner, Buff State and Fredonia will stay together. Cortland now, Morrisville is a travel partner, Potsdam and Canton, the two sisters there, they'll be travel partners, and Platte and Skidmore will be travel partners. So the dynamic of travel and overnighters and all the other things, it changes our league. It'll be exciting and a lot of, unknowns in this first year. And hey, we'll see where the league goes and what other additions we can make to the league in the future years.
It is so weird to no longer see Potsdam Plattsburgh together. And to see Geneseo and Brockport on the schedule, but as non-conference games. It's just like there's just been so much change within the SUNYAC. It's hard to keep on top of it at this point.
Well, we got Jenny twice
Yeah.
this year, home and away, and we have
Mhm.
Rockport, so it'll give our fans and their fans, bring back those rivalry games. With Skidmore and Hobart, it's going to be exciting,
Yeah.
for everyone. And just to give a shout there on November 14th, Friday night, our whiteout game versus Plattsburgh. I'll give you the heads up here that on Saturday, November 15th versus Skidmore, that it will been a long, long time coming. And I give our administration credit for honoring a gentleman that is so deserving. Will be our first number retired in the history of our school. Pete Sears, number one, our first All-American, our only Olympian that won the silver medal in the Sapporo, Japan Olympics in 1972, served our country at Vietnam, served as an assistant coach here for many, many years with our goaltending, coached our high school program for over 30 years, taught within our school district for over that, and just set the standard and the bar so high for all of our players. We couldn't be prouder of him. We'll have a ceremony before the game, retiring his number to the rafters here in the campus center. So that'll be a great night for any of our alums that are listening to honor Pete on November 15th.
That's awesome.
Really cool. Really cool. Yeah.
I don't know that Oswego hockey happens without Pete Sears.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree. He's a special person and just a class act and everything that he does in our community here with the college. So happy for him and just,
Yeah.
sharing the news with him and been a lot of planning and a lot of time and effort going into it to make it a first class evening for Pete and his family. And as much as we're excited about Whiteout and Platy, as we always are, the next night will be just as remarkable or more memorable for Peter.
Yeah, that's really cool. What was his reaction when he found out that you were going to retire his number?
Typical Pete Sears, just the grace and humility in which he handles himself. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do these things. Just another player. And, typical Pete, obviously, between the community, all the players in minor hockey and high school, and that had him as an educator, hold him in the highest regard. I can honestly say I've never heard one person say a bad word about Pete Sears. And but in all his humility, humble is humble, and but grateful and appreciative at the same time. So
will Brandon Milberg change his number now? Or will he be forced to change his number, or will he be allowed to keep it for the season and then no one else will wear it after him?
That's a good question. I think we'll change his number. Whether it'll be done, on that by the 15th, we hope so. Talking to him about a number that he would be comfortable with, and it's no disrespect, obviously, to him. I think he understands the magnitude of Pete's presence here and what he means to this program and the college and our community. I think if everything goes the way that it's supposed to, he'll be wearing a different number on November 15th.
I may have to try to make up another
Yeah.
trip, and then I don't know how much my wife's going to be okay with that. Basically 2 weeks apart, 3 weeks apart, but we'll see.
Bring her with you. It's fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
Bring the kids.
Coach, we had the head coach of the women's ice hockey team, Mark Digby, on a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned all the advice that you've shared with him, over the years. And one of my favorites, anyway, that he mentioned on our last podcast was that you mentioned to him, everyone's a leader when it's 70 degrees and sunny.
Yeah.
Like what?
So great.
Like that's a great piece of advice. It really is. But what other pieces of advice do you often share with other coaches, with players, or even just people interested in hockey?
Well, and Mark's, done a phenomenal job there with the women's program, following Diane Dillon and doing things the right way, and starting with your culture. And I think, I know Mark understands our greatest compliment, or the greatest factor that we have isn't the championships, is the consistency of winning year in and year out, and not to take shortcuts. What advice would I give any young coach is, long-term greedy, do things the right way over a period of time and success will happen. I think you can look at Mark Taylor at Hobart, arguably the worst facility in college hockey, stuck with it, got his guys, the guys that he wanted, that he knew he could be successful with on board. And, doesn't matter what the rink is like. He has built a tradition of excellence there and success. But for any young coach of just not taking shortcuts for you know short-term success, being in it for the long haul to build your culture and build your program. Even though you'll have those ups and downs, the sunny and 70 part is, as Mark said, as he listened to me say every day, who can do it when you're crawling through the mud, it's pouring rain out, the bullets are flying, your wife's sick, your kids are screaming, you got to get the kids to daycare, your boss is mad at you, you've got deadlines, one thing after another in life, as we say to our players, you know, when the game's going easy, everybody could do it. Who can do it facing adversity? And those are the things that we try to prepare for every day is, the calls are going against you. We're not playing well. Maybe we give up a soft goal. We hit 3 goal posts. Things aren't going your way. How do you handle adversity in life, and how do you work through those things? I think for all of us, those are the lessons through sport or through what you guys do that, we become who we are. And, Mark has done a great job. John Whitelaw here, the paid assistant position, has done a great job. I've been so blessed, right? Danny Ford and Mike Gray and Joe Cardarelli and Mark Digby and Kenny Neal and Mike Gray and Bobby Chattel, and trying to think of all the guys, just great group of coaches that are here for the right reasons for the success of the program, and put everyone else in front of their own success and their own, needs.
You mentioned Danny Calabufo earlier, right? Being with the graduate position. Does he want to go into coaching? Is that something that he's looking to do, or is this more of like a let me finish my degree, get a master's, and move on, and go and move into the business world or wherever he wants to move on to?
I think a little of both, right? His dad's, won everything there is to win in high school hockey here at West Genesee. Frank's just a great guy, and in that Pete Sears mold, just a great role model for the kids in that Syracuse area. I think Danny, has aspirations of, coaching college level or high school level or junior level. He loves the game. He's a student of the game, um, along with getting his master's degree so that he has the opportunity to be in those positions. A lot of the assistant coach jobs now, it's not mandatory, but master's is preferred. And so I think Danny understands that. And through the Festa fellowship, he has the opportunity to get his master's and coach, and, a small stipend to survive, and, uh, to do what he loves. And could I see him as a coach someday? Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. Um, he has a coach's mentality on how he thinks things through and how he approaches things. And obviously, having his dad as a mentor is a huge benefit. Um, I'm not so sure having Coach Gosek as a mentor here.
I was going to say, and you, but
As I say to him every day, he gets an education. I'm not so how much is the X's and O's as much as the reality of, even at our level, how much hockey and how much everything else, from recruiting to booster club to practices to weight room to, personal issues that guys are having and mental health and everything that goes along with it. I think he's not that he didn't know because of his dad, but he's every day he's in here, some days it's fun, and some days it's like, wow, what the heck else could possibly go wrong? The bullets are flying and you're crawling through the mud. So it's he's been awesome so far.
Coach, one more question. You're just a few days away from the first exhibition game of the season. So What are you looking forward to the most out of this 2025-26 season?
At the end of the year, you got one team that's successful, right? So, uh, can they continue on the track that the foundation that they laid last year, right? We're guiding them. Um, can they keep complacency out? Can they keep hungry? Do they have the drive to continue to push themselves, in the weight room, in the classroom, in the community, all areas that they excelled last year? Highest team GPA, won the SUNYAC, um, number one power play in the country, made the NCAA tournament. I arguably, I think most amount of community service hours by any team here on our campus. Um, all those things. Um, that's what I look forward to seeing and pushing them in a positive way. To have that same success, and then at the end of the day, you're comfortable with how the season ends. You know, um, one of my favorite people here at the college that retired. I don't know if you remember Joe Grant, our vice president, when Deborah Stanley was here. But I remember when he announced that he was going to retire, and it was heartbreaking for me because he wanted all our teams, sports teams, to do so well, and you know, uh, but he just said, "Hey, one, everybody's replaceable." And then, the second part of it was just, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, if you do your best and you honestly give it your best effort, you call it good. And good might be finishing second. It might not be winning the league. It might not be making the NCAA tournament. But if you aren't cheating yourself and you put the honest effort in to do the best that you can, at the end of the day, you call it good. With these guys, what will good be? Um, I think, the sky's the limit for them. They're a talented group. They are hungry. They're respectful. They've worked extremely hard. Um, but it's a sport, and I'm sure nobody thought Penn State was going to be 3-3 and that their coach was going to be fired. So every year there's new challenges, there's injuries, there's things that occur, and that's the exciting part about this year. And no, the amount of returners, our baseline, we're clearly starting above where we were last year at this point. So I think the fans will enjoy the team. They're a talented enough group. Not saying we're over the top talented. There's other teams that'll certainly have more, but we have our share. And I love our grit and I love our work ethic. Most importantly, I love them as people. They come and they're ready to put in the time and the effort. So I think you guys will enjoy watching them. I thank you for your time on the show as always, and the coverage that you give us to help promote the program. And no, I'm forever grateful to the three of you. Kevin, Chris, Jason, thank you, and appreciate all that you do.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Thank you,
and
Coach.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Coach.
Best wishes for the season.
Go Lakers.
Go Lakers.
And that was the head coach of the SUNY Oswego men's ice hockey team, fellow Oswego alum, Oswego native, the one and only Ed Gosek. That's a little interesting. That's a fantastic tidbit that they're going to retire the number of Pete Sears, and
Yeah,
that's
it's really cool.
Yeah.
well deserved.
Oh my
And
God, it's
I
like
cannot
well
wait.
overdue, isn't it?
Oh man,
50
yes.
some odd years
Yes.
later,
That's a pretty big honor to have your number retired, right? I mean, we can talk about all
Yeah.
the players that have come through Oswego that have just been brilliant, right? Putting up crazy numbers and having so much success, but have your number retired. I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
and the first.
And the first. I mean,
right,
it's which it's kind of staggering actually. It's surprising that it's the only one.
Mm-hmm. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, wait, I know there's someone with number one on this team right now. And I was like, quickly looked at the roster and I was like, yeah, was like, I had to ask the question. I was curious to see what the response was going to be.
And I really was impressed by how he's just rattling off every single player's name. Cause I mean,
I screw my kids' names all the time.
You have so many kids coming through every single season.
Yeah.
It could be a different roster. And like, just to have that turnover and just like trying to remember everyone and doing it on a personal level as well. That's very difficult to do, man. That's impressive.
And like he said, I mean, last year's team.
Oh my God, can you imagine
freshmen on the team?
17 freshmen.
Yeah, and you have to like remember all those kids, and like within like a couple weeks, and you're like,
right, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool though. I mean, that's
a talent. That's a talent to have right there.
It is.
Yes. I mean, for me, everyone's last name would be you. Like you.
I would just call out numbers. Like,
yeah.
Hey,
but that's the problem. They don't wear numbers on their practice jerseys.
That's right. In practice. Yeah.
But it's like you see someone on the street that you forget the name. Like, hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Well, so definitely, for you listening, if you're big hockey fans like we are, circle the 14th and the 15th of November on your calendar because I'm going.
Yeah, I'll probably be there.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right. We'll coordinate, Chris.
Yeah,
and then Jason,
I'm going to try to make an effort. I'm going to
save a seat.
I'm going to effort this. I'm going to see what I can do.
I might be standing room only by that time, but
might be.
That's okay.
All right. I think that'll do it for this edition of the Throwing Bagels podcast. We again want to remind you we will be live on WNYO
in living color
at noon on Saturday, October 25th. Tune into WNYO online. You can find it. We'll be there at noon. The Throwing Bagels podcast will be live.
We can try to see if we can do a YouTube live while we're there.
No, that's too much work.
Oh, come on.
But we're not going to be doing the work because some of the students are going to be there producing. So
right.
Okay.
We'll work with them. We'll work with them to see if they can
keep it up here in the noodle.
Do you know
what? Up here.
We'll pull up our YouTube stream. We'll hand it off, and then they can, they knock themselves out. Okay.
I like it.
All right.
I like it.
Work in progress. Throwingbagels.com is our website. Throwingbagelspodcast@gmail.com is our email address. The socials are on the web. You know where they are. So check them out and send us an email. Hey, we do respond, right?
We do.
We do. Yeah, we sure do.
We may be, we got one recently. We may be hitting up an old establishment that we used to go to once in a while back in the day. So,
the next time we speak, guys, it'll all be over. All this Hewitt Hall stuff. And,
I know,
man, it's been a long time coming, and we'll be back with a happy recap.
That's right.
In a couple of weeks.
Yes, we will.
See ya.
Bye.
Later.